Hello, my name is Susan Kraft, and this is Talk Art, a program funded by the Silicon Valley Open Studios, SVOS. Every year during the first 3 weekends of May, more than 300 Silicon Valley artists open their studios to the public. This free event lets you discover some exciting new artistic talent, or get up close and personal with some of your favorite artists. You can find out more about Open Studios by going to our website, svos.org. Today, we're going to talk to a fine artist, Jill ANDRÉ. I first met Jill many years ago when she came into my gallery determined to move into the fine art world of canvases, paint, and sales. She became the most popular artist at Art 21, so much so, she had a hard time building a show if she kept the gallery in stock with her art. Today, she works out of a new studio and is experimenting with all kinds of designs, some torn paper, some pastels on fresh paper, but always some paint on canvas. Later in the show, we're going to talk about a new kind, we're actually going to look and talk about a new kind of paint called Open Acrylic by Golden. It's supposed to share desirable qualities with oil paint. Oh, desirable qualities with oil paint. I love Golden. So Jill, you're going to talk about this with us later.
I am. That's been part of the change in my painting process. A couple of things have happened since the gallery closed, and that is I've got a new studio space that's dedicated entirely to making art, and it is heated and has hot and cold running water, but it's given me the luxury of time and space to expand the process of my painting. The new acrylics have also helped with that, as well as this last summer I went to a workshop at a place called Fabulous Place, Anderson Ranch in Aspen, Colorado.
Nice.
And it is run by professional artists for artists. And I took a workshop with New York painter Tommy White, teaches out of Princeton. And
you were there for 2 weeks?
I was there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
Out of Princeton, but you were in Colorado. Now you're confusing me.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Tommy White, Princeton. I was at Anderson Ranch in Colorado. Yes.
Right. So you, when the gallery closed a couple years ago, you opened up a new studio.
Yes.
Your own studio. It's a beautiful space. I've been there many times, and looked at your new art and some of the stuff you're doing to get to this new art. You've been to this ranch twice, but only once since the gallery closed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happened after you came back from the ranch?
I was ready to take chances and make bigger risks and make some big mistakes with my work.
And what did the mistakes do for you?
I
mean, that seems kind of weird, actually.
It is.
You know,
It's very hard to do things and either cover them up or use them, or not to be so certain about what I was doing. I think Golden Acrylics has actually been helpful in that. We'll talk about that later, yes.
I think you're going to do a little demo later on.
I am.
Which is why you've got
yes,
the,
I've got this ready
there.
set up for that.
For a moment. Okay.
Just including the elements of chance. When I draw, I'm much looser. I layer things one on top of the other. I erase things. I take images from other sources and put them on top, and I'm really trying to see what happens on the paper or on the canvas, to make it happen there and not up here. Now
you have a lot of people that followed you at R21, and
yes.
You did a really brief, short Open Studios with me last year, my studio, but you didn't have a lot of work there because you're sharing it with me. This year, are you doing Open Studios this year?
I am. Last year I had works on paper. And I think I'm bringing the spirit of those works on paper onto canvas this year.
Okay, so we're going to see some of those pieces here.
Yes.
I don't know if we're ready to show them or not. Where are we with time? Is it time to show the studio? To show the arts on the? Yeah. Okay. Let's show some of the first series. We've got 3. We're going to look at beaches, circus, and bikes, circus, and beach. So I think if, there we go, there's beach. So talk about beach a little bit.
Beach.
Is beach finished, first of all? Let me know, is it finished?
You know, you never really know with a painting.
Okay.
I've heard it said that a painting is never done, it just stops in interesting places.
Okay.
And so I'll show you an example of a painting process after this.
And so you want to say more about beach, or should we look at the next one?
Beach involved layering with a kind of handmade rubber stamp.
Oh.
And I have this beach ball shape that I cut out of a piece of foam, and I'm layering that on top. There's probably 3 or 4 paintings underneath there before it came to this point. This next one, bikes, I just started with the circle shape, just interested in circles, and naturally they became bicycles, so I wasn't intending on painting bikes, but
those are great circles, especially the ones you've got at the angle there. So
yes, yeah, thank you. So that's part of the randomness and chance, and taking that and then bringing it into something that's recognizable and has meaning. So there's chance and meaning together. In
that's a beautiful painting. So here we have the last of the 3 we're going to initially show, Circus.
Circus.
Which now this looks like something you would have had at R21, the fluffy red skirt and the random legs and.
But I think in this I'm layering more. There's definitely not a complete figure. This could be the same figure in different times and spaces. There's a lot more patterning going on within the paint.
And this is all acrylic?
Yes.
Okay. And what size is this piece? Wait. Hold
about
on.
30
go
by
back,
40.
Please?
30 by 40. That's okay.
All right, never mind. All right, we'll still here. Now this series, we've got Anderson. Now I know that we've got Anderson 1 through 5, which means that it's different time dimensions of them. So this is like the first level, and we're going to look at different levels, 5 different levels. I think 5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is actually all on the same canvas.
Okay.
Unstretched. I chose not to stretch the canvas, leave raw edges, because I didn't know how this painting was going to look when it was finished, and that was new for me. So the first one was very random, just some marks. Now this is the second day, and I'm adding color on top, doing some negative space, doing shapes, and trying really hard to go back and forth.
Now, why did you choose it? First you had black and white, now you've got 2 different yellows, so there's kind of an orangey yellow, and you chose yellow just to give it some warmth, or?
I think so. I think I'm always attracted to the figure, and so to me a figure somewhere needs some warmth. But I have no idea where the figure is going to be at this point.
Okay, so let's have the next one.
Let's see,
3.
Okay, and at this point, oh my gosh, I think I've lost it. I've worked over it with blue, and I have scrubbed it out with sandpaper, and gosh darn it, I didn't have the open acrylics just then, and that would have been nice. But instead, I tried to rub it out, and
so here's your mistake that you.
Here it is, like, oh man, I just lost that. The previous one.
Yeah, the other one's beautiful. Look really pretty.
It's
looks
gone.
like it's going somewhere.
It is.
Yeah. Now here we've got something that doesn't look so great. Okay, now what's Anderson 4?
Okay.
What did you do with this one?
Let's see.
Next one? There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so now you put some blue masking tape on. There's some painter's tape.
And you can also see some opaque white going on in the background. There's a figure showing up to me in the upper portion of it. It's not real clear yet. There's a lot of things happening down at the lower half. And I just decide on, if we move to 5, to just cover up about half of the
Steve, could we
painting.
have number 5, please?
Let's see if we can. There we go.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful. What a great transition.
So
That's the final piece.
Thus far, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Well,
but you can see that actually covering up the majority of the work that I had done on there, as interesting as some individual parts were, really focused it on the figure in back and gave it a sense of space, but also the space that's in front of it is active. Obviously something is happening down there.
Yes.
There's a whole history down there.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for walking us through what a mistake does for you when it turns into something that's a very beautiful piece. I like the depth. I personally like to see lots of layers. I like to have depth in paintings. In fact, one of my primary goals of art, and when I look at art too, is to have like the mirage of taking a 2-dimensional object, which is a canvas, and giving it depth, giving it some personality, giving it life, and life has 3 dimensions. So how do you turn something flat, white surface, like even a piece of paper, right? How do you turn this into something has some life to it? Either as a writer or a painter, you need to give it depth, and many, many layers like you just showed us is what.
And you also give it the depth of time by doing all those layers.
There you go. Now you got 4 dimensions right there.
Yes.
I think we're also going to look at some of your figure painting pieces. You and I share a class.
Drawing, yes.
We do a class that's called Circus Drawing.
drawing circus
the
with
drawing
Edward
circus.
Stanton.
Edward Stanton, the famous Edward Stanton. And so we've got some pieces that we want to show also our studio audience and our TV audience. And they're called, I think we're using, you're looking at a model called David, and we've got three different images, three paintings
David.
and one actual photo of the model. So this one is David, and this is a, go ahead, tell the story.
This is the model David, and this is what I would consider a traditional life drawing pose and situation.
And you can see other artists painting David from the other side of the room.
Yes, I do like to do that.
Yeah, I do that once in a while too. It's fun. Artists like it too.
Yes, yes. This is charcoal on paper, and this is just a study of the human form, very traditional and classic. And
Yep.
obviously the head is on the shoulders, and the proportions are there. And
Yep.
I'm just trying to
the shadows, the depth, everything is all there for
Right.
one image.
for one image, and it's an interesting image. I worked on getting diagonals and such, but it isn't unique to me. I think any artist worth her salt could do a decent
And this is what
drawing
we
of
all
this.
do when we first become artists at university usually. You don't usually do this before you're in high school. I don't think they let you look at nudes in high school. But once you get to college, you get to look at nudes, and this is very classic. And by being able to be this loose, you would never be this loose when you first started either. People are very tight, and they
Yes.
want it to look like a photograph, which is really boring because you could take a photograph if you want to have a tight, realistic. But this is very realistic, especially
is.
for what you normally do. So let's
Right.
look at the next one. Here you go.
The
Now,
next
this
one is
David.
also David. This is in the drawing circus, and David is
He obviously has an umbrella.
He does.
He's wandering around the room, which I've seen him do.
yes, and he is moving in a very slow circle, and so most artists would think, oh my God, I can't do it because he's moving, but he actually carefully, he comes to the same place again and again. And so in a way I'm able to draw a number of variations of him and to go beyond the body of David and more the feeling that he's giving in this performance of the circle and the umbrellas. And it feels like it's someplace. There's definitely light. And to me, I can feel the color and I can feel the temperature and the atmosphere in this. And so what I've learned in the drawing circus is that you get to draw more than what's there.
So this, it could be a carousel, or it could be a room full of people, or it could be, as you know, if you know, like I did, that it's the same person moving around the room, and it's like, if it were back to photographs, it would be the same multiple exposure of somebody moving around the room.
Yes.
So let's look at the next one where you go after this with David. Now here, this is even more extracted.
Yes, it's a very simplified view of his face. I'm not worried about getting any accuracy as far as what David looks like, but he's got a feeling in his face.
It definitely has a feeling.
And then he's very expressive with his arms as well, and so I'm really focusing on the most interesting parts that I see and that David is giving and that Edward Stanton has created in terms of light and atmosphere. I actually think, what were the badminton things were around, and he had these hoops and...
Because this is different classes, right?
Yeah.
These are different, okay, so one time he's still and you paint him specifically, then he's got the umbrella, now he's got hoops. Now we're going to see a photo of him. After this, we've got the fourth one, where he's actually, I think he's holding pillows or something. And it's a nicely modest photo that we can show on public TV and to minors, because there's only his shoulders, head, and his calves are showing from behind. So this is actually you, where you're using tinfoil now. Now you're using tinfoil to...
you can use anything. It's very sculptural.
And look at the light. See, now Edward uses really bizarre light.
He does do theatrical lighting
Very much.
and peculiar music to set
And it
the
gives
atmosphere.
you a feeling inside.
Yes.
Because I keep losing the name of the style of painting that he has us do. It's about how you feel, what you see also, obviously we're artists, but how you feel.
Yes. And you are not a camera. You are a feeling.
So you paint what you feel.
Yes.
With your knowledge of being an advanced painter. Pretty much only advanced painters take this kind of course from Ed. Otherwise you would feel really unhappy and kind of...
I don't know. I find that people who haven't painted or want to paint can feel safe there too.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard him always
definitely.
say that the advanced artist...
Well, we need it. more because
okay.
we don't get a chance to do it.
Otherwise, yeah, we'll get sick.
Okay.
Okay. So we're done with David's set. But I really enjoyed you introduced me to to Edward's class, the drawing circus, and I really appreciate that a lot.
You're
And
welcome.
I happen to be taking his color class now, which is not color theory. In fact, if I were really taking his class like he wants me to, I'd be wearing all red. We're studying red this week, so I'm supposed to be wearing red for an entire week. Can you imagine? This is how you study red. This is how you study color with Edward Stanton, is you actually live the color. So next week I wear yellow all week, because we're going to study yellow. And I read essays on yellow. This week I'm reading essays on red.
He's worked hard to collect all the essays and make
on the books. He
Yes.
gave us all books. He said just sign and make sure that you bring them back when we're done. And I think we're going to go into blue next, and after that we're going to go into secondary colors. We have to wear these colors. I don't have red.
You broke the rules.
I know. Yeah. Who wants to do the boring little pots of paint and do a color wheel?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that in grade school, for God's sakes. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with the life drawing or your paintings of... Would you like to talk about Outstanding for a moment before we move on to... I'd like to talk about open paint, but I'd like to talk about
actually, this
your
one,
old style. This you did 5 years ago, I think, or
I
4
think
years
so.
ago?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's still holds Stanton's classes. It's small sketch, and this is how I have been working. I take a small sketch. It's usually just a single color, and then I work it up into a medium-sized kind of painting that has the major colors on it. Because, as anyone who's painted with acrylic knows, it dries so quickly that if you want to work on a painting of any significant size, you really have to have...
You're sweating in the summer because you're moving so fast.
You have to move fast, and you have to have the colors mixed in enough quantity that the large blue area, that sky blue, I had to have a big glob of that mixed and ready to go because it's only going to last.
Look at me, Jill.
Yeah.
Forget these guys. Forget
Okay.
these guys out there. Tell me about it.
Yeah, okay. So a big glob of blue because it's going to dry in a couple hours.
Yeah.
And so you have to work fast in order to work large. And definitely I like the speed of acrylic and the intensity of it, and it's got great shape. But you can't get in there and rework it or do some subtle things. It's very...
I've taken to using razor blades and cutting stuff off of my acrylic paintings. I've moved into oil because I really like the softness and the workability of oil.
Yeah.
But I also like acrylic for the same reason you're talking about. So this painting, you started out with a little sketch in black and white charcoal.
Yeah.
Created a larger piece in color just to block it out.
Yes.
So real classic stuff, really.
Yeah.
And then this gigantic, beautiful piece that that is called Outstanding, and you know she's feeling the sun on her legs. You know, it's just wonderful. I love this piece. So so speaking of golden, let me see some of these golden paints you have here.
Okay.
So we've got some golden paints here. I don't know if I think I've shown the secret. Who wants to look at this? Anybody want to look at this? Where are you? There you are. Golden. Here we are. Whoop, wait, oh, there we go. Golden open acrylic. This is one color. She's got 3 colors here, and she's brought a canvas with her, and there's something to paint on. This is her. It's going to be her palette.
My palette, yes.
And you're going to show us how you can use. You know, but we're not. You're all going to just have to believe us that when you use acrylic, standard acrylic, that it dries quickly and it gets sticky and you can't move it around. But this is, any of you out there in the studio audience or on TV, if you've ever used oil and you say, I can't use acrylic because it's not real paint, check this out. It's amazing.
This is good stuff.
Okay, now what color is this?
This is quinacridone magenta.
I love that color.
It is a transparent color.
Look at how rich that is.
It is. And I often use ultramarine blue. So I'm using very
You can see this. There we go.
much the basic colors of the color
Yeah,
wheel,
look
so
at
I'm
that.
not going
Isn't
to
that
do
beautiful?
anything fancy, but I want you to be able to see this and a little bit of white. It's good stuff. It is so,
Where are you? Where are you? There you
so
are. Maybe.
juicy. It is so juicy. This
I already
fat,
like to use juicy when we're talking about paint.
yeah.
You don't really want to eat paint. It's just a joke.
This canvas I have painted with a standard acrylic in yellow, and I think it dried in less than an hour. So
It was thick paint on there.
it was very thick paint, but now I've found that I use
Go for it. Come on, we're waiting.
no, I use a good quality acrylic for large areas.
Okay.
But I use a standard acrylic. But what you can do with this,
I've not seen this. This is my first exposure to open.
I liken the regular acrylic to peanut butter and this to jelly because it is so.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
Smooth.
I always thought it was like oil.
Yeah. So you
I
can
never
get
heard
in
oil
here.
talked about like jelly.
Yeah. And I can get in here, and if I don't like that, I can just start to rub it out and wash it off and do it again. And I can keep adding, and what I love, here I'll do it really dark,
Okay.
because this is one of the things I love to do. There are these tools called paint shapers, and you can get in, and it's sort of like this silicone pencil, and you can get in and you can draw.
Now you can't do that. No, I can do that with regular acrylic paint.
You could do that if you worked really fast. You would have to do it within probably about 40 minutes.
Okay, now wait, no, put that down for a while. We'll go back to. So now my producer just said, hey, what are you doing? You can't do an infomercial, and we're not doing an infomercial. This is really artists want to know this because they're curious about this. This is new stuff.
And there actually are other
They're all
brands.
going, I don't get this.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're just going to try it for yourself if you want to. I don't care. But what I wanted to do was to see what Jill's up to with her new, why she's going forward, what's opening up for her. Kind of cool. It's called open acrylic.
And there are other brands of acrylic with longer working times.
Yeah, I don't know about.
Yeah.
I just use. I love golden anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll go back to it later, and you
Okay.
can prove to me that it's like oil paint because I've moved into oil paint. I feel like you know what's really weird. I'm going to tell you this. When I was a kid, I painted since I was 3 years old. I painted on canvases probably this size, kept really thin, the boards that people used to use back in the dark ages, and because my father painted, and he's an old guy. He was old when I was born. So I started painting with him in his studio, and he was an oil painter. So I painted in oil, and I painted dogs and clowns and who knows what. And so when I went to college, by the time all these years later, I think that I just I rebelled. It was the 70s, and everybody was rebelling, and I rebelled, and I wanted to do watercolor. So I didn't know that the real thing, how the path normally went was that kids painted watercolor and maybe acrylic. When the college, like, wow, I get to paint oil, and so that was the grown-up thing to do. I didn't see it that way because I was just kind of a weird kid anyway. So I painted watercolor for 20 years. And then I finally not realized, but I just got tired of it, and I wanted to really get back into acrylic because I never did acrylic, so I did that for 10 years. And now I'm doing oil. And but you know what? It's not the regular oil that my dad painted with. It's the water.
Mixable.
You can break it down with water instead of using turpentine. But for like this, for a short time, like for maybe 20 minutes, half hour, then you have to use turpentine.
This will actually be open for several days.
Really?
I've gone back to my studio and been able to.
Well, after an hour, you have to use turpentine like regular oil. No, with the oil.
With oil, with the water mixable
because it's
oil.
all chemistry. This is a chemistry thing, and so is the. It's all based on modern chemistry and the advances people have done. And this is actually, I think the guy's name is Joe Golden, who started this company. I don't know if he's still running it or not, but it was a painter like you and me, who wanted to have better paints, and he developed this for himself and his friends, and then his friends begged him to keep making paints for them, and he said, well, shoot, I'm going to not do this for free, I'm going to make it a business. So that was a long time ago. That's what Gil told me from one of our favorite art stores. So anyway, so what else? Now, golden paint is allowing you not to, you can work on big pieces, but they're more soupy, they're more buttery, they're more...
I think it's a great thing to combine it because there's the time element. One of the things...
So you can combine open with regular?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. And
even with the cheaper paints like Nova?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's all compatible.
That's great.
But the standard acrylic is... You're taking notes there. Standard acrylic is great for large areas, but if you need to get in and rework areas, or as I say, noodle it, remix it, wipe it off, I love being able to make these nice hard edges and go back in and write, and I can do this the next day.
Look at that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm seeing
Yeah.
it. I'm seeing it. It's
And
almost like ink. It's really thick, like thick ink.
It's like thick ink, but it feels really good.
It's
And
not really, so it's not really like oil, because oil is a little more custardy or more buttery. This is
yeah,
really.
look, this is coming back up. So.
Oh yeah, you can pull the whole thing off.
Yeah. You know,
Almost. Yeah.
yeah. Well, if you can see the yellow of the canvas.
So if you had water, you could just wipe that whole thing off with water.
Yeah.
Like you would turpentine with oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
This is Jill's a big yellow person, so you can see she's got yellow on her shirt. In fact, she had a big yellow jacket that I asked her if she would mind wearing her other jacket black, because she just loves wearing yellow, and she brings in a yellow canvas, of course.
Yes. Well, I wanted it to show up well too.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I would have painted it black or dark brown, because those are the kind of things I.
Yeah. But I find these open acrylics over darker colors, it takes more, and so I think it's a good idea.
It takes more.
It takes more paint.
Well, they're kind of thin, really.
They're more transparent than some of the.
So can you get
acrylics.
open in the jars too?
I
Like
do
you do
have
with the
some
regular
jars.
paint?
Yes,
Is it thicker?
It is.
Okay, so I think they call it stiff or heavy.
Yeah, heavy bodied.
So they have heavy body open?
They do have some now. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. So this is a new advance in painting. So it's I hope all of you got that, because artists are kind of conservative. They don't always want to switch to something new.
But it's not really switching. It's adding to.
I know, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like
No, it's an
some people
investment.
don't even want to get to the water miscible oil.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not real oil. Yes, it is real oil. Cut it out. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of our show, and it was
Already?
really great talking to you about art, and thanks for showing me this, because I go to your studio. You're not painting when I'm at your studio, because it's a solitary
Visiting,
thing,
yeah.
really, unless we're in a group like Drawing Circus. Even then, we're alone in our little pods, painting and drawing, ignoring everybody else except the model.
No, we go around and look at each other's stuff too.
Yeah,
But
we try to ignore each other.
Yeah.
Don't look at my work. So anyway, thanks a lot for coming, Jill.
Oh, thank you. That was
Appreciate it.
quick.
And let's see, we've got 30 seconds left. We can still talk a little bit about something else. And I thought we were done, but no, we're not. We are done.
Oh.
Thank you,
There we go.
everybody. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming tonight. And Jill, I hope to see your studio more. You can come to my studio too.
I shall.
Okay.
And,
Hey.